Yeah, thank you, man, for such warm introduction. Yeah, today we are going to talk about AI, WebGL, and how crucial it is to see other people in internet communication. Yeah, my name is Denis, and besides doing conferences and doing JavaScript, I was working on 3D graphics for a long time. So this is something we've been doing back. It's all run in browser, and this is something from 2012 or something. Oh, you don't see. Can we switch to my screen? Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this is the thing I was showing. So it's a browser 3D game, something I was working on, and then was I was working on some casino games. I'm not proud of the gaming, but I'm proud of technology. We've been doing some really nice graphics on the web, and this is going to be a little bit important to know my background for the further steps. At the moment, I work in JSNation, and JSNation is a foundation. It says, our website says, giving open source a human face. You may think that we are making avatars on scale, but it's not totally true. We are making events. We are making React Summit, JSNation, and some other events, mostly in JavaScript domain, but not only. What I'm doing there, we are a team developing the portal. Portal is a place where all workshops, talks are being stored, and they are presented in a nice, comfortable way. So there are event categorization, talks. It's like a Netflix for JavaScript developers. So if you want to skill up, get some new ideas, and listen to fellow developers who have some things to showcase, then yeah, you just go here, and there are talks with nice short summaries. We use AI for short summaries, for transcriptions. So yeah, we heavily use AI in the system, and it's quite cool. I think so. Yeah, so you may try. So yeah, we do events, and we have multiple speakers in our events. Normally, it's up to 100. For any sort of internet-based interaction, it's very important to see the person you interact with. So you consider any, as I use some screenshots of fellow speakers' profiles on social networks. For any social network, you have avatar, and you can't really skip any UI of social network. You can skip that because it's so important for people who are visual beings. We consume most of information with our eyes. It's so important to have a picture of someone in front of us. Hope you agree with that. So what if we make this piece of UI, which is so crucial, a little bit better? What if we upgraded to 3D? So having my background, this was a very natural intent to treat speakers better, to make it cool, and to give them this present of this unique 3D avatars. I think it also works for a conference promotion if you have such cool effects or etc. Yeah, the problem is how you make this on a scale of hundreds and thousands of items. So the first idea I had was, let's get a 3D scanner. And 3D scanner, yeah, it's something you hold in your hand and you walk around the person or face or some object, and you build a 3D model, which is okay. But there are some problems. So this is a cheap 3D scanner. This is 13,000 euros. And then, OK, even you spend 30,000 euros, it doesn't guarantee you anything, because many speakers are speaking remotely. And yeah, some you never show up, and then scanner can get broken. So, well, it's really hard to scale this solution. So I dropped it for a long time. And we've been doing hand-drawn avatars for a couple of years, which was cool. Like, for example, if the topic of a conference was cyberpunk, we've been doing a cyberpunk avatars, and React Day Berlin 2022, it had all avatars of speakers in a cyberpunk setting, which is interesting. I think speakers like that, and audience like that. What happened next? And then came AI. And it made this approach obsolete. Like it got so easy to style any photos. Like in a blink of eye, it got so cheap and easy, so it was not exciting for anyone anymore. And we had to think about something else, and something that scales. So yeah, the idea was revived for 3D avatars. But the lesson learned is that people really like being presented in a cool, non-standard way. Once I found Midas. It was the beginning of the new cycle of the idea of having avatars a little bit better. So Midas is a Pytorch model that can extract from any 2D image, like from a JPEG, and can extract, not extract, but recreate a depth information based on the knowledge the model has. And it can represent it as a depth map. Yeah, the depth map, if you played games, you've seen that textures have such a nice volume. It's not really a lot of volume, but it gives some details. In games, it's called normal maps. So you have texture which represent how the surface should be curved and bumped. So then the result is something way more detailed and bumpy than it would be if it's flat without a normal map. So the depth map is pretty much like that. It's like a grayscale image that has information on each pixel. It has information about the depth. So the wider the pixel is, then closer to the camera is the object. So yeah, let's try some of this. So I have here a very interesting application called Depsy, and it's an app to test depth map. They have some examples, so we see how it works. So these are 2D images, but they have depth maps uploaded, and it works in this nice way. So what we do now, I'll try to make a photo of this hall, and we see if it works. There are some flares from lights, and I'm pretty sure if there is a flare, it's going to distract. But yeah, this is why I'm going to take a photo from this angle, so projectors doesn't affect. Yeah, let's see. Yep. Yeah, and the home. Right. Cool. is our depc? Nice, yeah? Just, so there was no information about the depths from phone or anything. It was just a plain JPEG, which models the neural network. It reconstructed the depths of the image based on what it was learned. And it was learned on many examples of images and depth maps. So, yeah, cool stuff, right? And you can do the same, not just with avatars. It could be anything. It could be photos your users upload. It could be photos of some goods in internet shops. Anything. I'm pretty sure there are some limits of what you can do with that. Like, as I said, flares would definitely affect because it's quite a rare condition, someone shooting against the light, but yeah, in normal conditions and with regular photos, it works pretty well. So the implementation plans for our avatars was to run daily cron that runs Pytorch model against all new avatars. And this should be running on GPU VPS to have a little bit more resources and to run constantly daily. And then it uploads the depth map to the CDN and fills property in a database. On a front-end side, there should be a component that has a graceful degradation in terms of if depth map is not set or if WebGL is not supported, because the sync requires WebGL to be displayed. You can't display it with image. It's something which is important to understand. Then we display just a regular image, so there is no issue with not having WebGL or not having a depth map. Okay, so the plan is to have GPU VPS. And I started to look for this thing. So yeah, I tried to run it locally. It was working. Before, we've been using a thing called Notepad. So this is something you can use for experiment when you're trying out one of your photos, but you can't use it on scale. If you have tens of hundreds of your images, it's basically a UI. There is no API for the reason that this is free. And if it would allow people just to upload some things and use it as API, it will get broken because it requires a lot of resources, some significant amount of resources to run. So you can't really use this Notepad we've been using now for a demo for something production grade. Yeah, so I was looking for GPU VPSs, and then I found that the price for hour, and then you have to run it 24 hours a day. So the average price of GPU VPS, it's not that small. It's like $300 at minimum, and this is like something very mediocre from these instances. It's not the biggest problem. Like of course, if this is one of the small features of your application, paying $300 just for hardware is a bit non-convenient, but it is fine. But still, like, I mean, for a small feature, it might be a problem. Then I started to set up the whole environment, and I found that, okay, this is possible, but Python is something different from JavaScript. They have a package manager, it's different. They have so many problems with versions, it's different. So you have to be really a Python engineer. So I put everything on GPU VPS, and I run on GPU VPS my stuff. And then I realized, okay, I run it on GPU VPS, but I have exposed it to the world. And I have to write an API around that. So this is another step. And then you have to decide, should be your API and Node.js API, or you should write it in the Python. And I'm like, well, okay, I can do all that. but then it's going to be so many moving parts. It's going to be a new GPU VPS to take care about. It's going to be a Python application that runs the neural network itself. It's going to be API layer, and all this. And this should be a special person to maintain all that, because you need to know not just JavaScript, you need to know a Python. It's like, okay, it's going to be a really very, very painful maintenance and a lot of hassle with that. And to be honest, I got a little bit depressed, and for some days I was just thinking about the idea, because I didn't like this like exceeding maintenance point. It was so much to pay after all. I was looking from the tech lead, from the manager perspective, like having another stack just for avatars. That's insane, guys. It's just not something I was looking for. Then luckily I found a solution. It was somehow by accident, rather. I was Googling something around neural networks and trying to solve problems in a simple way, and I found Replicate. And Replicate is a really cool thing. I think there should be alternatives. Yeah, let's see what Replicate is. So yeah, Replicate is a cloud platform for machine learning. What they do? They make life easier for you. They get all neural networks they can find online, put them in the cloud, and expose them with very, very convenient APIs for developers. And they have SDKs for Python, Node.js, Java, everything. And the number of neural networks they have, it's insane. Like, they have everything from transcriptions to creating videos from text. Really cool stuff. I think it has a very bright future. Yeah, this is how you would use a Replicate from your Node.js cron job. Importing, creating an instance of the SDK, and making a call. And the output would be literally a URL, just a string URL to the result. So you just get the URL of your depth map. This is as simple as that. And there is another cool feature built into that. We will talk about it a bit later. Okay, so we have Replicate that serves as depth map. It's not hard. It's really very little moving parts. Yeah, how do we display that? I found one ready to use, sort of ready to use React component, because we run it as a whole portal as a React application, specifically a Blitz.js application. If someone never heard about Blitz.js, it's an amazing meta framework built on top of Next.js, but it has some scaffolding features like CLI to build some part of UI from models, and some authentication built in. So Blitz.js is really something I would recommend. It's many features that make performance of developer much better. So yeah, I found React components that can display images with depth map. There was some sort of a problem. So I tried to display avatars. Yeah, the displaying looks like this. It's nothing too hard. It's just a React component I sent URL to. So URL and some parameters that specify how much you want to displace images. So you can displace a little bit, but you can displace like more skewed based on the mouse movement. So yeah, this is the first result I got. It was sort of okay, but images were a little bit doubling you see there is some sort of echo behind the avatar. So I was looking for the reason, and I found that the pixel shader is written in the way, so it tries to not. So the left one is it might try to illustrate what was happening before. So it tries to not just move the front to display the front, but also the back part to be also moved in the opposite direction. And because there is basically no back part, it was sort of illusion. It actually works fine with more perspective, like if there are more depth information, and the photos of a corridor or a photo of a hall would be working fine. But for a speaker, it was only it was very discrete, like or face or background. So this approach was not working. So I had to rewrite the pixel shader to avoid this breaking image in the middle. It was like a very small fix in the pixel shader of application, and then it worked like that. So this echo was removed. So this is pretty much the final result of this thing. Now we can have a look of more avatars. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I don't think it's very illustrative on such a screen. It's more. Well, they are moving. I could make it a little bit more, but this was not the point of. This is still a portal, very utilitarian UI. So it's moving. You see that this is a 3D thing, but it was not the point to make it too exposed. And so yeah, it's just to add this cool feature and to have something on the top of just the normal avatars you have on GitHub. Otherwise, it might be too fancy. So yeah, now all avatars on the portal have this effect of perspective, or if this is a face with a close shot, they look sort of 3D, looking around. Yeah, what's next? And there are some things happening, like this Midas model. It's not the best at the moment. So at the moment I found it was, but things are moving forward. This AI field is being developed very, very quickly. So now there is a model called Zoo. It combines a couple of approaches, so it's still based on Midas, but it adds another approach to that. And now it can get way more subtle details. To be honest, for the demo, I was using Zoo because it's more advanced and it's more reliable. Midas might be a little bit less. It was just more chance of demo to be broken. So yeah, there are better models, and what is really cool with Replicate, so we already updated to Zoo, and the only thing you have to do with Replicate to update the model, you see the line here is with a hash. So this is an identifier of the model. And then to make this running on Zoo, you just change this identifier. You change nothing. So the API on Replicate is standardized for absolutely each model you run. So yeah, just you upgrade literally with copy pasting one string. That's a nice feature. So yeah, new models. They are more precise, and I can give you a little bit better results, but there are also totally new approaches. It's also neural networks, but they work with a little bit better technology than depth maps. And yeah, the guys are, this is a video as a presentation of experimental model. They're doing pretty much the same, but they reconstruct a 3D model from a single image. So in a near future, we could be able to do that. It's like, it's not just a depth information. It's a reconstruction of a human head. It's not science fiction. This is something which is there, which is already available, but it's still very experimental. And like in a year or two, it might get to production, and we might migrate to that. This is also on replicate, but it might definitely be more expensive to run than depth map extraction. Yeah, this is something I'm really looking forward to. This is insane. Like if you think about this, extracting all this information just from a single shot, it's fantastic. Right. So yeah, takeaways. You can extract depth map on scale from any to the image. You can display them with a WebGL component with graceful degradation if the user doesn't have WebGL. Running GPU VPS is a pain. It hurts, and replicate can save you many hours of work and maintenance. Yeah, well, technology progresses. It's exciting to see the Zoo and Midas thing, and what's going to be ahead of us. Well, I'm so excited to live in this moment and try all these things, improving UIs and specifically avatars, because in JSNation we try to give open source a human face, and nice avatars are very of use there. Yeah, thank you.